Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Pigskin Addicts, back again with another video. So I'm gonna start a new little series here. Chargers have a lot of free agents up. I think they have a total of 21 players that are going to be scheduled to be free agents this coming offseason. Now, obviously, there are a couple guys who I think the Chargers should, try to re-sign. But by and large, I think there's a lot of guys who, if you're not just going to outright re-sign them, you have to let them go out and test the market. And I think this is going to be the case with most of these guys. Got to, let them go out and test the market. If they get, bigger money somewhere else, right? You just shake their hand and congratulate them for that. But, I think this offseason is going to be very, very crucial as far as cost savings go. There's a lot of contracts that the Chargers are on the hook for, and without even mentioning Herbert's contract coming up as well too. So I think the Chargers have to really, really focus in on where they are going to spend money and obviously be smart about it. So the first player you guys see on this list, who I think the Chargers should not necessarily just let go, but they should let him test the free agency market. Nasir Adderley. Now, I like Nasir Adderley. I like him as a player. I think he has a lot of potential, but obviously, right, he's been inconsistent, right? That's not something that I'm breaking, right? This is not breaking news. He's been inconsistent, and it's not just about him being inconsistent. It's about the moments that he's inconsistent in. Very big moments, game-changing plays, right? He's been inconsistent with coverages, getting lost, right? Not really covering his assignment, coming down in the box when he should be deep, coming down and playing the robber position when he should be deep, like just little mental mistakes, right? And I don't know, maybe it's a function of Staley's defense being too hard to pick up. Maybe he's just not communicating with the other DBs. There's a lot of variables to this, but the one thing that's, you can say that it's happened quite a bit, right? So that's something that you obviously cannot have going down the road. Now, the inconsistency is definitely one of the reasons why he should, try to look to go somewhere else. But I think it's also, written in clear writing, right, that the Chargers were probably going to look to move on from him anyway. They drafted JT Woods in the third round of the 2022 draft, right? So that's pretty high for a safety, especially, considering the Chargers didn't have a second round pick. So he was the Chargers' second pick in the draft last year. So obviously the Chargers think high of JT Woods. It's obviously going to be his job, to win or lose in camp. And I think Nasir Adderley, I think he could probably find, a better deal elsewhere at this point right now. But this is JT Woods' job now to going forward, right? He's got to put the work in. He's got to get his body right. He's got to come back next year ready to play, because I think, he's going to be in there, right? He's going to be in there. They want to see what he can do. You're obviously, a third round draft pick is a premium pick, right, in the NFL, the modern NFL. There's superstars that get traded for third round picks, fourth round picks. So, that a lot is thought of a third round pick. So JT Woods has to come out and he has to show that this job is his. Obviously, the cost savings are there as well too. Nasir Adderley being a unrestricted free agent, he's probably going to be looking for more money than he made on his rookie deal. That's just a customary thing. So even if the Chargers are not going to offer him a lot of money, he's going to want more money than he made last year, right? Last season, his salary was $1.1 million, right? Now, that is not the highest salary in the league, right? It's not breaking the bank. But when you are in a position that the Chargers are in, right, where they have so much money committed, the cost savings for a player like that, it could really, really, really do some good, just as far as trying to stretch the cap as far as you can. So JT Woods is going to be cheaper, right? He's going to be cheaper than that $1.1 million. And JT Woods, he's going to have 3 more years left on his rookie deal as well, too. So that's, again, a cost savings down the line when you're looking at a Herbert contract, when you're looking at a Asante Samuel Jr. contract, when you're looking at a Rashawn Slater contract. Having that guy there, right, on the cheap rookie deal, that's something that you can work with. Right now, obviously, he has to come out and show that he can play first, right? That's got to be number one. He has to show that he can play because none of this matters if JT Woods can't play. If he can't play the safety position, if he can't play in the NFL at all, right, it's a wasted pick, and the Chargers are going to have to go in another direction. But as far as cost savings go, it makes a lot of sense for JT Woods to jump in there and take Nasir Adderley's spot. Now, another reason why Nasir Adderley should move on and the Chargers should let him move on is all of the money that the Chargers have tied up on defense. They have a lot of money on defense. They made a lot of moves last offseason. We know about this. But there's so much money tied up into defense. And, in a offensive-centric league, it's not great. This is not a great position that the Chargers are in. And especially when you look at the guys on defense who this money is tied to, right? Khalil Mack has a big contract. He's kind of getting up there in age, right? He's not the Khalil Mack of old. We've seen that this year. Joey Bosa, they have money committed to him as well, too, for the 2023 season. He's coming off a injury-riddled season, right? So obviously that's something to watch going forward as well, too. J.C. Jackson got a very big contract. He had a very major injury. So when you look at all the money tied up, even on the defensive line as well, too, Austin Johnson, right? He had a pretty good deal last year as well, too. He had a pretty bad knee injury, right? And for a big guy like that, it's going to be tough sledding coming back. So all of the money that the Chargers had tied up on defense, most of it went to players who are either injury prone or have had injuries this year, right? Very serious injuries, injuries that require surgery. So there's going to be a lot of questions as far as can these players reach their full potential, on the other side of the injury, especially with the money that they're making. The Chargers just cannot afford to put any more money into defense. They just cannot afford that. They really, really cannot afford that. This is an offensive-centric league. Again, the salary cap is tightening, without Herbert's contract. There's going to, be a very, very finite amount of room. And you cannot afford to throw money at a position that you're already paying, top dollar to. Derwin James is the highest paid safety in the league as of right now. So, he's getting top dollar. You cannot afford to pay another safety, and you not even just top dollar, but you can't afford to pay him, really any more than he was making last year. So that is something that they have to be cognizant of, and I think that they are, right? You cannot afford to pay every position. And Nasir Adderley, I think, like I said, he's a good player. I like him. He has a lot of potential, but he really hasn't reached that ceiling yet. He still has a lot of improving to do, especially, if he's going to command a much higher salary than he made last season. I think it's time for him to go, move on, maybe find a deal somewhere else. I think there's going to be a pretty good market for him. I think a lot of teams will like what he has put on film. And I think there's some coaches out there, especially defensive coaches, who might feel that they can work with him. Maybe he can develop, some skills, right? Maybe they can get some things right with him technique-wise, and maybe he can go into a scheme that, suits his skills more, right? Maybe the Staley scheme does not suit his skills, properly. Maybe it doesn't bring the best out of him. Maybe he can go somewhere where, he can have a little less responsibility. He can play more freely, right? So the possibilities are out there. I just think the Chargers really, really need to cut their losses on this one and move on. Now, last but not least, I think the possibility of a new head coach coming in, just as early as next year, right? Maybe, Staley is not who we thought he is, right? Maybe he gets canned early. Right now, you're going to have a new head coach coming in, right? And it's probably more than likely going to be an offensive-minded head coach, right? So whoever that coach is, maybe, Tom Telesco gets fired as well, too. Whoever the new coach and GM are, right? They're probably not going to want to dish out a whole bunch of money on defense, right? They're probably going to want to build around Herbert. That's what most people would do, right? So if the Chargers have a new brain trust, you can expect that to happen, right? So a lot of the money, inflated contracts you see on defense, a lot of those guys are either going to get traded or they're going to get cut. If that were to happen. So, if Nasir Adderley was to sign a new deal with the Chargers, right, would a new coach want him, right? Would an offensive-minded coach think that he is expendable, right? So these are little scenarios that you have to keep in mind when you're trying to build out the best team that you possibly can, again, in an offensive-centric league. This league is offensive-centric. I whether or not you like it or not doesn't matter, right? The facts are the facts. I think I'm going to do a video about it here pretty soon, how the Chargers are behind. They're kind of running like a mom and pop shop right now. And, it's not great, right? When everybody else is running like a conglomerate or a corporation and you have, your little mom and pop shop, it just doesn't cut it, right? The competitiveness is not there with the teams who are, well versed at putting the best talent, the best offensive talent around some of the best offensive, teams, right? The best quarterbacks. So the Chargers just are not there, and I'll probably make a video about it. But this is, just my opinion here on why I think Nasir Adderley should probably move on and try to find a new home, because I just don't think the Chargers are going to have the money to pay him. And again, not that he's looking for, super, max money or whatever, but I just think the salary cap is going to be stretched very thin. The Chargers are almost in a place where they're going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul. So we're going to see what happens going forward down the line, but I do think Nasir Adderley should, look for a new home, and I think the Chargers should let him. And, I think both sides will be happy at the end of the day if that does happen. But that's all I got for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Really appreciate it. Shout out to all my new subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit that subscribe button down low and hit the bell notifications as well, too. And don't forget to smash the like button before you get out of here as well, too. I'll be back again tomorrow with more content. And thank you guys so much for all the support.